When the river cries at midnight, someone's secret has reached the gods. That's what the elders used to say in Umuaka village, and that night the river cried louder than ever. This is the story of Nkemdili, a woman the earth forgot to bless with children until the river decided otherwise. Before sorrow found her, Nkemdili was the pride of Umuaka. Her beauty wasn't loud, it was the kind that humbled even the wind. Her skin glowed like ripe palm fruit, her smile could calm quarrels, and her eyes carried both fire and gentleness. Every man wanted her hand, every woman wanted her grace. She was strong, hard-working and bold, the kind who could lift a full mortar of yam and still walk with elegance. When she passed through the market, the sellers paused their haggling. Even the old drummers in the square would nod and whisper, "That one, she carries the blessing of the gods." When Obiora, the hunter's son, proposed, the village rejoiced. He was tall, brave and gentle, a man whose laughter filled the air like song. His family adored Nkemdili. Mama Obiora would boast, "My son has found a wife the heavens molded on their best day." Their wedding was the talk of 3 villages. Drums echoed through the hills, palm wine flowed like water, and the moon seemed to linger just to watch them dance. For years they lived in bliss, working, laughing, and loving like 2 halves of one soul. They became the example every young couple wanted to follow. But after 7 years of marriage, no cry of a baby echoed in their home. At first, Obiora stayed patient. He comforted her with soft words and promises. But time is a cruel sculptor. It changes faces and hearts. Soon, love turned into frustration, and whispers became daggers. "Her womb is sealed," the women murmured. "Beauty without children is like a well with no water." Obiora's mother, once her greatest supporter, turned cold. She said, "A man's name must not die in his wife's belly." Then came Ifunanyana, young, arrogant, and fertile-looking. Mama Obiora brought her into the compound as Obiora's second wife. Ifunanyana took joy in tormenting Nkemdili. She'd walk past her humming songs with lyrics like, "2 wives, 1 fruitful, 1 dry." Each word cut deep, but Nkemdili never fought back. She carried her pain quietly, finding strength in prayer. One evening, after another day of humiliation, she knelt before her clay altar and cried, "Chineke, if this is my destiny, give me peace, but if not, show me mercy in your own way." That night, Ifunanyana, out of spite, told her mockingly, "Go fetch water before dawn if you still wish to prove you're useful. At least the river won't reject you." She laughed cruelly, not knowing those words were a divine setup. Before the first cock crowed, she arose. The stars still clung to the sky, and a strange peace hung in the air. She tied her wrapper and carried her clay pot towards the river. The path was misty, yet she felt guided, as though unseen hands were leading her. When she reached the riverbank, she realized something was off. The water was unnaturally still, gleaming like glass under the moon. Then she heard it, faint, trembling and heart-wrenching, a baby's cry. It came from the river. Her pot slipped from her hand and shattered. She stepped closer, trembling, searching for the source. The water rippled gently, and beneath it, she saw something that froze her breath. A baby, wrapped in glowing strands of moonlight. Its body shimmered, and instead of legs, a silver-scaled tail swayed slowly beneath the surface. A mermaid child. Her heart pounded. She knew the tales. River spirits didn't forgive theft. but the baby's cry pierced her soul. Without thinking, she reached into the water. The water was warm, alive, and it parted like silk under her touch. She lifted the baby, dripping wet but calm. The crying stopped instantly. The moment she held the child to her chest, something in her spirit whispered, "This is not a mistake. You were sent here tonight." She pressed the baby against her heart and smiled through tears. "You are mine now, even if the world calls you forbidden." Days passed. She hid the baby in her hut, fed her milk and honey, and wrapped her in soft cloth. She named her Mirioma, the river's joy. The bond between them grew like roots under the soil. The child never cried when Nkemdili was near. At night, the baby would glow faintly, casting soft light around the hut. Nkemdili would sing lullabies until dawn, feeling whole for the first time in her life. But soon, the river began to mourn. The first night, strange thunder rolled without rain. The second, the river turned red like blood. On the third night, every fish in the stream floated lifeless. The priestess screamed from her shrine, "The river mother weeps, her child has been taken. If the true thief is not found, the river will swallow us all." Fear gripped the land. Children refused to fetch water. Goats gave birth to stillborns. Palm wine turned bitter overnight. The people of Umuwaka knew no rest. Men carried charms, women wailed at dawn. Even the elders whispered that the Dodds might destroy the entire village if the mermaid child was not returned. At an emergency council, the chief struck his staff on the ground 3 times and declared, "Every house will be searched at sunrise. Whoever harbors what belongs to the river will die before the moon rises again." That night, Ifunanyana, burning with jealousy, saw her chance. She approached the guards secretly that night. "Start with our compound," she suggested with a fake smile. "The barren one might be desperate enough to do anything." At dawn, the search began. Warriors beat drums as they moved from hut to hut. The air was thick with fear. People knelt outside their homes begging the gods for mercy. When they reached Obiora's compound, Ifunanyana made sure to stand by the door, pretending to be worried but hiding her cruel excitement. "Please, search thoroughly," she said sweetly. "We must clear our names." Nkemdili froze inside her hut. The baby stirred. She wrapped Mirioma in cloth and hid her beneath a large basket of cassava. The guards entered, overturning pots and baskets. One of them moved towards the cassava pile. Ifunanyana smirked, whispering, "Check that one. She hides secrets like a lizard in the sun." Nkemdili's heart hammered. The baby made a soft gurgling sound, and just as the guard bent to lift the basket, a thunderclap exploded outside, shaking the ground. The guard screamed and ran out. The air filled with the scent of rain and fire, though no drop fell. Everyone outside saw the river surge suddenly, waves climbing higher than palm trees before settling again. The guards fell to their knees, trembling. The chief's voice trembled. "The river is watching us. The guilty will reveal themselves soon." Ifunanyana's laughter died in her throat. For the first time, fear entered her eyes. Inside, Nkemdili wept silently, realizing she could no longer hide what was never meant to be hidden. That night, the river overflowed its banks. It glowed faintly blue, and the mist formed the image of a woman weeping. In her dreams, Nkemdili saw the river queen whisper, "Return, my child, and you will not return empty." She woke in tears. She held Marioma close, torn between fear and love. To keep the child meant death if caught. To return her meant losing her only joy. But she remembered the thunder, the dead fishes, the trembling earth. She realized then, her going to the river that night was not Ifunanya's mockery. It was God's plan disguised as humiliation. By midnight, the baby began to glow again, smiling softly. The wind outside howled, carrying whispers. Nkemdili wrapped Marioma in her wedding cloth and walked to the river, each step heavy as grief. The water shimmered like silver fire. Mist rose and shaped into the river queen, majestic, eyes deep as eternity. Nkemdili knelt, tears streaming. "I did not steal her. I only loved her. Please, don't take her from me." The river queen's voice was soft as rain. "Love led you here. It was not theft. It was destiny. The river sent her to heal your sorrow. You obeyed the call. Now return her and receive your own blessing." The water swirled around them gently. Nkemdili placed Marioma back into the glowing current. The baby smiled and vanished into light. The river queen touched Nkemdili's forehead. "Your womb has been washed clean. You will laugh again, and your children shall carry the song of the river." The river roared once, then calmed. Its color cleared. The next morning the villagers found peace. The air smelled sweet again. That night, the villagers heard the storm and feared the worst. They stayed awake, praying, trembling, listening to the wind's cry. At dawn, the entire village, men, women, and children ran toward the riverbank. Even the chief and elders came to expect destruction. But what they saw made them fall to their knees. The river flowed again, clear, wide, and alive with fish. The air smelled of rain, and the morning light danced on the water. They cried, "The gods have forgiven us. Someone must have appeased the river." But no one knew how. No one saw Nkemdili's tears. She had returned before sunrise, her wrapper still wet. When Obiara asked where she'd been, she whispered, "I went to speak with the wind." Weeks passed, and peace returned to Umuaka. Then whispers spread. Nkemdili's belly had begun to grow. The herbalist examined her and said with awe, "Woman, you carry twins. The river has remembered you." The villagers gasped. The barren woman with child? But no one questioned. They only said, "When the gods choose to bless, they do not explain." When the twins were born, a boy and a girl, both with eyes like sunlight on water, the whole village celebrated. Obiara's mother came trembling and knelt before Nkemdili. The younger wife, humbled and ashamed, fell at her feet, saying, "Forgive me, I mocked what I did not understand." Nkemdili looked at her softly and replied, "The river taught me. The water you spit on today may be the same that saves your life tomorrow." From that day, peace returned to their home. Obiara loved her again. The younger wife served her with humility, and the villagers came to respect her deeply. At night, Nkemdili would walk to the river with her twins. The water shimmered whenever she came near, soft ripples spreading like laughter. She would whisper, "Thank you for remembering me." And the river would glisten back as if smiling, keeping her secret forever.